Thank you, Stephanie. Again, I'm so happy that we were able to have this event. It's long overdue. And I agree. Yes, it is. It has been long overdue. I have now been commissioner for about a year, but I've yet to have an opportunity to meet many of you in person. And I very much look forward to having the chance to do that. I have met many of you who've worked with me since my time began here and out in the community as well. So thank you for your drive, your passion, and your dedication in making sure the deaf and hard of hearing residents of Massachusetts have equal access to communication at all levels. And this is only possible with your support and resources. Let's at this time review our agenda for tonight's event and bring up the PowerPoint. Shane is saying, is Anna co-host? One moment. Sorry. Okay, now it's working. Thank you, Anna. Next slide, please. Thank you. First, we want to ensure that every participant has the opportunity to
and clarify how the process works. Set up some
I'm sorry,
norms.
we're hearing a second voice. Can somebody mute, please?
If you would like to speak, you can click the raise your hand button and your video will be spotlighted. And then after you're done sharing, you can turn off your video. And that will help to reduce the number of people on the screen, and it'll make it easier for everyone to see.
Excuse me, there's a second voice that if you could mute, please.
Also, we would like to thank MassRID for helping us to host this town hall, for partnering with us.
So we have had an opportunity to get input and hear from the community. And of course, we know the COVID pandemic has not made our work any easier, certainly. And I'm reminded of a term or a quote, and that is, community can heal better than any doctor, hospital, or clinic, because the community has the resources required to support each other and to care for each other and support one another. And that's what can make a community whole and well. And this tonight is our opportunity to do that. We're here to listen, to take notes, and learn from you what we can do here in the Commonwealth of Massachusetts to ensure that the deaf and hard of hearing community continue to receive all that they need in spite of the many challenges that we all face. We face challenges, but we also have many opportunities ahead of us. And that's an exciting thing to take advantage of. And that's why we're here together this evening. So looking at the agenda, first, we will have Shana Gibbs, the MassRID president, talk about the survey that's been conducted. Kat Devar, our communication access director, will then review the findings of the survey. And then we will provide an MCDHH update in terms of activities in response to the issues raised in the survey. We will have a short break, and then after that, we will have open discussion time. And that will be moderated by Stephanie Haukelin. Thank you, Stephanie, for serving in that capacity. And then we will have our wrap-up time and talk about outstanding issues and the development of an action plan. This town hall will not be the end of the process. There will be continued collaboration and dialogue between MassRID and MCDHH about how to continue to address the issues that are identified. So this is a listening session for us this evening to gather the expert opinions from the members of the interpreting community so that we can follow up and move forward from there. At this time, I'd like to turn it over to the president of MassRID, Shayna Gibbs.
Sorry, I'm doing a number of things at the same time. So sorry about the PowerPoint. Let me try to, okay. All right, so just a second. Before I go in and share the PowerPoint again, we had a pre-survey poll that went out approximately 2 weeks ago. We had 90 respondents. So this is where we got the data from. So we want to be very transparent tonight. That's the data that we will be speaking of this evening. Kat will then cover some additional survey questions that let me show them right now to you. So we got 90 responses to the survey. 80% identified as hearing. Wait, let me go back for a second. MCDHH sent out the survey. I'm sorry. MCDHH sent out the survey. I'm sorry, I'm being distracted. I apologize. I'm really trying to multitask right now, so let me get centered. Okay, MCDHH sent out the survey to members, and then MassRID sent the same survey out to our network through email and word of mouth. Our goal for this evening is for all of us to come together as interpreters who are members of MassRID and interpreters who are not members of MassRID, and interpreters who are involved with MCDHH and interpreters who are not involved with MCDHH. So our goal is to have a wide breadth of individuals present with us this evening, and hopefully we achieved our goal. 66% of those respondents had been working as an interpreter for over 15 years, so they have a wealth of experience. So a lot of the poll questions come from experienced interpreters. 20% of those responding have 6 to 15 years experience, and 14% less than 5 years, 5 years or less experience. The respondents come from all different regions of the state, as you can see in this graph. This chart shows the interpreting areas that people specialize in. Primarily, they are generalists, some medical, some post-secondary, some mental health. Those are the largest categories.
That's what the
Race and ethnicity identity, 90% identify as white, 6% as Black, and the other percentages as other categories, as you can see here. "92% of the respondents," as in hindsight, we probably should have separated whether individuals were screened or certified, but the question was a combined question, screened and or certified. So 92% are either screened or certified. And I believe this is the last poll question. 83% of the respondents are currently on MCDHH MCDHH contract. So that's a summary of the demographics of the responders to the survey that was sent out. Again, we had 90 respondents. And thank you for your time in responding to all of those questions. Those responses helped us figure out our platform this evening, areas of focus, issues, items, challenges. Rather than us coming here and just talking anecdotally, we wanted to make sure that our responses and conversations were relative to data, and that's what we got from this survey. Thank you. Actually, I'll go ahead with one poll question. We'll be doing this throughout the evening. So I'll start the first poll question. Go ahead and record your answer. We have 70% participating, and that number continues to raise, to go up. Okay, we'll wait another 10 seconds. If you're on a phone or perhaps an iPad, you may not be able to see the poll question. And here are the results. I'll now turn the floor over to the next item on the agenda for Kat. Kat, if you'll turn your camera on so you can be spotlight. I lost Kat. Oh, there you are. Thank you. Okay, Kat, when you're ready for the PowerPoint, just let me know.
This is Kat. Oh, Denise made it wonderful. There's been a little bit of behind the scenes drama as we work through some challenges trying to get Denise Martinez to have access to enter Zoom. So let me introduce myself. I'm Kat Devar, and I'm the Director of Communication Access Services at MCDHH. And I just have to say, it is such a thrill to know that you're all here. And I can't tell you how much this means to me. Personally, I am touched and I appreciate it so deeply. Shayna, thank you. I am ready for the PowerPoint. I'm going to be talking about themes that we extrapolated from the data received in the survey. First, I'll give you some time to read through the slide. So these are the overarching themes gleaned from all of the questions in general. These are the issues that came up repeatedly throughout the survey. So we see that there are more specific themes that we will get into more detail about in a little while, addressing some comments that people provided. But these are the striking themes that stood out. And at this time, Denise would like to make a comment about these themes. Denise? Shanna, you get on here too. Shanna, could you join us, please, as well?
Okay.
I'll just close my video for now.
Okay, Denise, go ahead.
Okay, so this is Denise. When Kat, Shana, and I reviewed the survey findings together, it was an amazing experience to see. It was disheartening to see how disenfranchised and discouraged many interpreters are across all kinds of demographics, no matter the age. It was something that we see is felt very commonly among this community. And that concerns us because we care so deeply about each and every one of you and our community, and we want to support you however we can.
Thank you, Denise. Before we move forward with the town hall, I would like to ask each one of you to be mindful. We are a community. We face a number of challenges in our profession, in the system, in all kinds of places. But to be honest, there's only so much MCDH can do as a state agency. Naturally, they have restrictions. They have some things that are beyond their control. And then that's where MassRID comes into play. So we recognize that there are certain issues. And now that people have expressed those issues, we need to figure out how we can move forward on those. There are some things that the commission cannot do, then should MassRID do it? But then who's from MassRID? Who's even around in MassRID? To be fully transparent, over the last 2 years, we haven't grown as much as I would have liked, to be brutally honest. We've looked a lot at internal structure, infrastructure, cleaning up some things so that we can be a more sustainable organization. For the next 2 years, I personally feel confident that the organization is ready to do more outreach and pull people back into the fold. But you need to be willing and ready to do the work and the investment in your organization, MassRID, to
That's
make
right.
the changes that we all want to see.
That's right.
That's out of MCDH's scope. So, like I said, we'll have polls and we have data that are representative of those issues. And there are certain things that MassRID can do, but please consider your involvement in MassRID. I would appreciate that, and the interpreting community would appreciate that too.
Yes. MCDHH has a goal to improve and change systems. MassRID has a goal to make changes and improvements in the community. And those two things overlap. We all can work together toward the change that we would like to see happen. So it's very important that we see ourselves as a collective working collaboratively together. Thank you.
And yes, one quick thing before I send it back to Kat. We've already done, or maybe not yet, but soon we'll be sharing the link to our general meeting, which will be on June the 11th. That information, I believe, has been posted on the website. If not, the corresponding secretary should get to that soon. So there is a general meeting on June the 11th, 10 to 12. So if you showed up tonight, that's awesome. Please now come to MassRID's meeting on June the 11th. We'd love to see you there as well.
Thank you. Bye-bye. Can I have the PowerPoint, please? This is Kat. Great. Next slide, please. Okay, so now let's get into more specifics about the themes that we just talked about based on the 90 responses that we've received to the survey. First, I'd like to talk about the state screening. We did receive some feedback about areas of improvement that are needed, as well as successes. And I do have another screen I'm trying to access at the same time so I can see my notes. People felt that areas of improvement include the need for more screenings. Some people also felt the need for more support, that there might be individuals who are ready for the screening but lack support. There also is a need for alternative pathways to get to the point of readiness for the screening. Kindergarten to grade 12, more research-based and impartial screening system needs to be looked at. The work is very complex, but there is current research that it should be based on. Among the successes are that in spite of the challenges posed by COVID, MCDHH continued to offer the screening and shifted to an online format where people were still able to have a very rich and meaningful experience. The next topic is contracts and billing. what can we say about contracts and billing, right? That really is important because it affects our livelihood. I can't say that anymore because I'm no longer a freelance interpreter, but I still have that identity and tendency to say we because I did it for 25 years. So I understand. But contracts and billing can be very complicated and challenging. Billing, according to the feedback we received, is cumbersome. There are so many different requirements for paperwork among different organizations and agencies. There are time delays. The registration system takes 2 months for approval, which is a very long time. Trying to become a part of vendor systems, the vendor system is complicated and requires training. Those were some of the concerns. The successes include comments about the support that interpreters have received from the commission with getting into the Combis system. So that was very much appreciated. Now moving on to mentorship. Yes, we could see from those responses that there's a definite clear need for improvement in the area of BIPOC interpreter support, as well as mentorship overall. And, really mentorship in general, in every aspect, needs attention and improvement. It's very difficult for people to get the experience that they need and the information that they need among all kinds of content areas, whether it be about various parts of our community, racially, culturally, ethnically, LGBTQ community. People need access to develop further competence in a wide range of settings. And there are barriers currently that people face in trying to develop those skill sets. People also mentioned the business aspects of being a self-employed interpreter, from paying taxes to bookkeeping, those issues around running your own business. Also, people need training about how to work with deaf interpreters. That was another issue that was identified, as well as a need for more interpreter theory and access to specifically demand control schema, role space, open process, collective dialogue, and all of those timely issues that are current in our practice as sign language interpreters. Self-care was another issue, and effective teaming as well. How do we better identify people out there who need mentorship, who could become ready to pass the state screening if they had that support? Also, the statewide mentorship program that existed in the past, and then we are addressing that with GTC, which is a federal grant through the Katie Center, which is to support new interpreters, and also the government immersion program known as the GIP. Those are two very successful programs where people can be paid a stipend to do the mentoring work. And also the peer mentorship model was something viewed also as a success that people were very happy with. Next is remote versus in-person work. That was a theme that we also saw. And specifically, where people have faced some challenges is explaining one issue is when deaf interpreters, DIs, have arrived on site for in-person interpreting, medical interpreting, their team is a hearing ASL interpreter on a screen through VRI. And so we need to really look at effective teaming and remote platforms such as Zoom, Whereby, and a whole host of others. There's a need for training about the best way to use online platforms and when and where they should be used appropriately or when they should not be used. There's been a shift to remote work. Among the successes are the fact that there's still been that commitment on the part of MCDHH to fill jobs and make that shift to providing remote services.
Next slide, please. So continuing with the survey results, professionalism, collegial dialogue, constructive feedback, improvement is needed so that people understand how to have conversations without being put down, have more professional opportunities, not like, oh, I'm hoping I will get this workshop, but things that are set so that people can plan around certain issues that will be offered, certain trainings that will be offered, knowing that the commission will offer certain things, MassRID will offer certain things, so there are consistent opportunities. Also doing some self-work, working with others, collegial dialogue, being careful about microaggressions. Right now, people are afraid about and not really sure how to interact with others. There's tension in the air. How do we remove communication barriers and rebuild the trust or build the trust and respect among our colleagues, among service providers, things that are going on within our own professional, people that need mental health support. Many people are feeling vicarious trauma, and we need training to help our colleagues around those kinds of issues. Some of the successes that were noted is that there are people that continue to be connected, talking with other individuals and the community. Onto the next theme, MCDH as an agency. There are things that need to be improved, such as it seems like the commission sometimes is not following their own mission. They need to get redirected, providing advocacy, direct services, so that the deaf people can get services, billing issues are resolved, deaf interpreters have more work. There's education provided to people that don't know how to use interpreters. Making sure that education is available for individuals regardless of their age. How to work with MassRID. How to talk about the interpreter role, what interpreters can or cannot do. How MCDH should promote hiring of not only the commission, but all sister agencies. There needs to be more town halls, such as tonight, more opportunities to come together. Staff are overwhelmed and overworked, and some of those funds can be delegated to organizations that can do some of the training and some of these other types of work. The commission has a long history of advocacy with providers, service providers, interpreters, train partners with MassRID, partner with MSAD to do training, do shared vlogs together, shared announcements together. And you can see that our staff are friendly. That's some of the successes that we've had. The next theme is professional fulfillment and job satisfaction. Respondents said we really need to focus on COVID took away from us. People need help with COVID-related things, how to get back engaged with the community. Interpreters need more opportunities for training. MassRID needs to do more across the whole state of Massachusetts to rebuild that feeling of a collaborative community, not just those who are professional are more elite than those who are deaf, for example, but how can we really build a sense of community for everyone? There seems to be a division between the interpreter community and the deaf community, the lack of support, tension. I don't know if I would call it tension, but there seems to be a split between new interpreters, veteran interpreters, deaf interpreters, hearing interpreters, white interpreters, BIPOC interpreters. The list goes on. Another recommendation was that turning old with grace. Massachusetts interpreters and the Mass Deaf community has worked well together. There have been free trainings provided by the commission, different types of trainings, referrals. So the deaf community can have their preferred interpreters. That's been successful. And there were a number of responses about MCDHH referral. Many people said that the way that the referral system works is just not equitable. Yes, we are all dealing with the interim referral system. People feel really not connected with referral system. There's no contact information. There's a lot of misunderstanding. So we need to recruit more interpreters. We need to collaborate with the interpreters and the interpreters with themselves. We need a better scheduling system. Many people have been very frustrated with different COVID policies. Different agencies, hospitals, doctors' offices, so forth, have all different types of policies. There needs to be a job sheet so people can say, okay, so if I go to this particular place, what is their policy? One-stop center so I can get all the information I need. Deaf people can't find information about interpreters. There's a preferred interpreter or not preferred interpreters. The new email system is very confusing. It's hard to get replacement work. If a job happens to be with two people, but then one backs out and there's only one, how to get weekend or night work. We have had some successes, and that's keeping the referral system open during the COVID time. Staff are hardworking, they're very professional. They do what they can to keep the quality level and service level high. They've asked service providers to work all over. It's just like, it's not that attitude of, oh, well, this is good enough, but it's the staff have really worked hard to provide a free referral service that's open to everyone. Referral will help with billing issues, helping people work remotely. The referral staff are quite knowledgeable. Beth, thank you for that shout out to David and the referral team for doing their best under tough circumstances. The next slide, please.
Let me
We're gonna
jump in with a quick poll and you can catch your breath for a moment, Kat.
Oh, sure.
Okay, 60% have responded so far. I know some of you are on phones or on iPads. It might be difficult for you to see the poll. I understand that. Okay. One more question, and then I'll turn the floor back over to Kat. Interesting. We have an exact tie. It's 50-50 just about.
So what's the result?
I guess I let the cat out of the bag a little early. I told you the result before I showed you the result. We're going to have a few more of these intermittently throughout the evening. So thank you. We're at 60% so far. %. Okay, looks like more than half have responded, so let's move to the results. And here they are. Okay. With that, I will turn it back over to Kat.
So while Shanna getting the PowerPoint set up again, the doc that I'm reading from with all of my notes, I will share if anyone is interested. I'll send it to Shana or whoever. Just let me know, send me an email, and I'm happy to share all of this with you. The next slide is the overarching theme. These relate to the interpreting system. Systematic racism and autism, skill and knowledge-based issues, the grievance procedure in terms of what does it look like and what happens, and the current quality of services. Well, when we talk about systematic issues, racism and autism, from the first exposure in our field to training and certification, mentorship, becoming professional, becoming professionalized, equitable job opportunities, we need all of those issues to support our BIPOC colleagues and increase the number of BIPOC colleagues in our field. And figuring out how to change the system so that, if we're going to set up a task force, what does that look like? To recognize barriers and how to destroy those barriers so that there is not the sense of white supremacy culture that permeates through all of our systems. So there needs to be a training on how white interpreters can actually support BIPOC interpreters in the community. Specialized trainings for that. How do we keep interpreter skills so that everyone can then raise the bar and the standard or so that we don't lose people because of racism and autism. How do we keep interpreters? We want people to come into the field through PPO, training, look at equitable values, collaborative interpreting, and the like. White people have privilege, other people don't. So these were some of those comments related to that. Moving on to skill and knowledge-based issues. It's important to know what people's ethical boundaries are, how those ethical decisions affect others, language fluency, processing skills, deaf cultural competency skills, how that interpreters can become more deaf-centric in the interpretation, peer supervision, review, more professional development, looking at trends, seeing what's happening with the aging population in our field, the changing trends in terms of legal, medical, mental health, training on how to work together. If I'm white, I need training on how to work with BIPOC colleagues. We need to establish communities of action who can support each other. We need pro-tactile training, STEM training, teaming, really all of those issues across the board, preparation, cultural competency, people who have moved here from other countries, bringing them into the field. Setting up clear, transparent grievance procedure. Considering the current quality of services. In Massachusetts, people want certain things. We want the field to become more standard. We want people to come. We do want the after hours and emergency service back. We want to create a strong collaboration between the deaf community and the interpreter community. We need education, people of color to do training, professionalism,
SUD.
and how to make all of these services and trainings possible. I think that's my part. I know I went through this fairly quickly. Again, I have a document that expands on each of these highlighted issues. I'm happy to share that with everyone. The next issues are outside of the Commission's purview. So there are some concerns about private referral, that some of them do not follow the Code of Ethics. They're not providing quality service. The Commission has no authority over any of those private entities. They are legally allowed to run their agency how they want to. So we can monitor quality of the services provided, but we can't do anything about the particular agency. We could provide consultation services. There are some other concerns around people who go right to work right after graduating from a training program. Again, I'm happy to provide consultation and support, but we have no authority to mandate what items are in a particular curriculum or in a program. We do give people support after they graduate, but we can't tell the college or university programs what they can or cannot do. Many of you have said that the pay rates are not equitable in today's market. We will have an official public hearing to discuss pay rates. That will be on June the 6th, 2 to 4. I should have written that down. Shannon, you can add that. Make sure everyone gets that message about the pay rate discussion, June 6th, 2 to 4. So please hold that date for a public hearing on the pay rate. I believe that's all for me. Yes, the public hearing is on pay rate. That's correct. June the 6th, 2 to 4. We will have a period for public comment before and after the June 6th event that you're certainly invited to submit your public comments if you're unable to attend.
Thank you, Kat. Actually, I have one more slide. This is Shana.
Oh, sure.
If we could bring up the next poll question, then there's one more slide for Kat, followed by a short break.
Okay.
When we return from break, Stephanie will take over as moderator, and everyone in the audience will have their opportunity to comment.
Perfect.
Okay, so let me bring this up. Okay, we're at 50%, 60. We'll give it a minute. %. 72. Okay. 73%. All right, I'll go ahead and share the results. Oh, wait, we just hit 75%. Going once, going twice, and here it is. Okay. There is one more last poll question that I will give you now. For this one, you will see two parts. Oh, this is really interesting to watch. All of the different responses. Okay, we're at 51%. We're at 53%. Now 55, 65, 70, 75%, 76%. Okay, going once, going twice, and it's gone. The poll is closed, and here are the results. If you can't see the entire slide, you can expand it on your screen, but I'll go ahead and share this out. It looks like the top result with 37% is mentorship, followed by the second focus at 32% is our runner-up to mentorship. It's pretty close, actually, between screening, contracts and billing, and remote versus in-person. So mentorship followed by contracts and billing. And then a close third is screening and remote versus in-person work. Okay. So now I will turn it back over to Kat for the last slide.
After reading all of your response, I do want to let you know about the programs and activities that we are currently engaged in here at the Commission to address some of your concerns. We have a number of very large projects going on at the same time that I'd like to share. First of all, relating to your concerns around screening, mentorship, professionalism, collegial dialogue, constructive feedback, professional fulfillment, job satisfaction, MCDHH referrals, quality interpreter services, including systemic racism and autism. All of those will be addressed to some degree or another through our workforce development project. We're very lucky and grateful to have a great relationship with Governor Baker and his office and Secretary Sutters, who are working. They have given us a chunk of money to expand the pipeline for interpreters and CART providers for communication access across the board, from those who are getting the first exposure in high school, AmeriCorps, service centers, you know, what's that CART service? What's that? To all the way up to job satisfaction and multiple points along the way. That's some of the things that the Commission will be working on. We are now in the process of establishing subject matter expert groups, one for interpreters, one for CART, to advise us. And all of these subject matter experts will come from a large cross-section of the community. They will help us present an action plan, help us recruit, help us to figure out where are those locations of first exposure, help us to figure out the pathways from exposure to some kind of training. It may not be in some formal training program, there may be other ways. So we're going to be pulling those people in to do a deep look into how to make a system. Maybe we need a satellite system to go where people are instead of having people come to where we are. But these subject matter experts will help us figure out what that looks like. Mentoring. There are interpreters who have already experienced mentoring, but want to do work only in government work, or want to do work in legal settings, or maybe don't have experience in any kind of setting and want to figure out which setting is going to be their niche. So the Workforce Development Project encompasses all of that, as well as the screening is going to be completely redesigned and revamped. That's going to take a number of years, but we're already in the process of doing that work. We hired a brand new, amazing screener, Crystal,
Coordinator.
who served,
Screening coordinator.
thank you. Denise Martinez, you actually already saw her this evening. She comes with a great deal of experience with supervision. We'll be working and hiring with the workforce development coordinator. This amazing team is going to create the opportunities for the workforce development project to get moving. So we'll be addressing these issues, your concerns as well. And hopefully we'll have so many workshops and training around ethics, professionalism, cultural competency, dealing with racism and autism, unpacking all of those. So the workforce development project is going to be encompassing all of these things. We're going to call it by its acronym WFD. And hopefully our expectation is that will then move all of you to job satisfaction and less burnout. We are already started the workforce development project. One of those things is to enhance and improve our referral system. We're going to have a beautifully new, easy to use, simple, user-friendly system. It's coming soon to a computer near you. We hopefully it's soon. We ask you to please deal with us. This is a very awkward time. We promise it's only temporary. The referral staff are doing their absolute best. Hopefully you will continue to partner with us until we get the new sparkling system online. That's coming soon. We'll be talking about unpacking racism, autism. We will have a lot of workshops and a number of series. The subject matter expert group, we will be asking them to advise us on how some of those programs should be designed. We will let you know what that looks like as soon as we complete that process. We will streamline billing. We have an ISA, an interagency agreement. Those agreements, we already have one with the trial court, the Executive Office of the Trial Court, EOTC. We now pay legal interpreters, so the interpreters bill the commission instead of EOTC. They get paid on a much more timely basis. We will be doing the same. We have done the same thing with Boston Public Schools. There are still some issues with payment, but we've come together to create an ISA with BPS so that billing will be more streamlined. And yes, it does include Horace Mann assignments. Also, we'll be addressing the concerns about billing and the billing rate on, like I said, June 6th. So we will also very soon begin on July 1st. We are going to have a centralized billing for those of you who work in any EOHHS agencies, CPH, DMH, MCB, MCDHH, DCS, EOHHS, any agency under the umbrella of EOHHS, you will have one form for any of those state agencies, and you send it to us, and we will pay each of you on a timely basis. It will be smooth, it will be easy, it will be a piece of cake. So that will start July 1st. Hopefully that will give you some incentive to come back and get on the MCDHH contract. That's a little treat for you to consider. Also, that hopefully will allow us to recruit more interpreters. We are currently working very hard to set up a permanent after hours. Right now, we have a pilot program that's the running the after hours emergency services. That will run through June 30th. We are collecting data. We will get all of that information. Hopefully we will announce the program soon so that it can become permanent. That's our goal. We are working really hard to make that happen. Thank you for working with us as we're trying to get to the light at the end of the tunnel on this particular project. Some things we cannot address, but we are certainly trying to address everything that we possibly can and will. Thank you for attending to my comments.
Mrs. Shana, thank you so much, Kat. We appreciate your time giving that report. And at this time, we will have a short break. Please keep your Zoom screen on. Just close down your video if you want. I need a break. If you want to chat with each other, you can certainly do that. But we'll be back at 6:30. So we'll take about a 10-minute break, and then Stephanie will be our moderator and the floor will be open for any questions. You can use chat, you can raise your hand. We'll go over the protocol and communication rules for the next part of the program. See you all in 10 minutes.
Hello, everyone. You should hopefully be able to see me. I'm here as moderator this evening. So first of all, we are going to ask, there will be 3-minute limit per comment. Hopefully, at the end of this, you will agree to sign your contract, MCDHH contract with MCDHH. If you'd like to make a comment, turn your screen on, ask your questions. Try not to repeat issues that have already been raised or addressed. We will spotlight you. Denise will be our timekeeper. Make your comment or ask your question. Again, 3 minutes, not a second longer. And again, do not repeat issues. That will be in the interest of time. So if everyone is ready, I'm sure that if you've been asleep through the presentation, it's time to wake up. Please raise your hand or let us know if you have a question or comment. So who would like to start this evening? You can questions about MCDHH in terms of their presentation. Kat would then respond. If you have questions about MassRID, Shana will respond. Anyone? Hello? Are you all sleeping out there? Ah, Sharon. So if I can get Sharon on the spotlight. Hi, Sharon.
Hi. Hello, everybody. Welcome. First, I just want to say thank you for the presentation shared with us today by Kat from MCDHH. I thought that was an excellent presentation filled with very helpful information. Also, I'd like to say, Shayna, I thought your polls were excellent. So good job with that. And it kept us in suspense. That was great. Overall, I just want to commend you all for doing such a good job. I do have a question in regards to rates, but I understand on June 6th, there will be a hearing and that will be the time and place for that discussion. I'm also thinking about questions having to do with the MCDHH contract. Is today an appropriate time for that type of question? In regards
So let's
to the
bring
contract?
Pat back in. Hi, sorry, I started before I got the spotlight. Okay, so contracts and pay rates will be discussed at the June 6th meeting. We will not be discussing that tonight.
Got it, not tonight. Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Sharon. Who's next? Commissioner Ope is just sitting there waiting until his time to wrap up. How much longer is he going to have to wait? I think I see a hand. Hartmut. Okay, Hartmut, please turn your video on. And then Carrie. Okay, Hartmut, turn your video on. Okay, so Hartmut, Carrie, and then Representative Skip Thomas.
This is Anna. We're getting Hartmut's video spotlit. One moment. That's not quite spotlit yet. Okay. Hi, finally. This is Hartmut. Hello. Hi, everyone. So I was having a difficult time getting my picture open. There was a delay in getting me spotlit. So I have a long list of things. I'm not sure how to condense it and make it brief. You have 3 minutes, remember, Hartmut, Stephanie said. Okay. So I know there are some things mandated by law in the purview of MCDHH. My point is, I think that there may be a little bit more flexibility than you may think in what MCDHH is able to do and still stay within their purview of what they're legally able to do. I think there's some wiggle room there. So we know that there are ISAs in place now for the Boston Public Schools, for the trial courts. That surprised me because I think that there are some inherent risks in this billing system that we should be cautious about. MCDHH is responsible for overseeing qualifications of the interpreting field overall. But MCDHH is not the entity that's specifically responsible. So I think we have to be very clear about what a contract means and be very careful about the idea of these ISAs. Also, I think that oftentimes there's a perception in the state government system that if an interpreter is contracted with MCDHH, then the interpreters are contracted with all of the state agencies. And there are many costs that are part of the interpreting field, such as mentorship, training, professional development. Where does that come from? Is that coming then from the state? Interpreters are public servants, just like many other types of public servants. So attorneys pay out of pocket for their professional development. Attorneys and other professionals have it provided for them. Some of these costs that interpreters have to pay out of pocket for, and I feel that that's unfair. I think I'll limit it to those comments for now.
Thank you, Hartmut. I'll ask someone from the commission to respond. Commissioner Ope.
Hello, Hartmut, and thank you for your questions. I think they're very good ones, yes. First, let me respond about why we made the decision to enter into these payment plans. Many agencies had longstanding issues around money that was owed to interpreters for their services and difficulties with processing payment of invoices. So interpreters would send their invoice and it would end up going to the wrong person and end up forwarded to someone else. And in the end, there was inefficiency and difficulty. And the end result was interpreters not getting paid in a timely manner. So to reduce that and deal with these issues more efficiently, we at MCDHH have become the billing entity for EHS agencies only. We are hoping soon to have approval of a $6 million chargeback ability, which means anytime an interpreter works for a state agency under EHS, they will be paid right away with no delays. And there will be a centralized billing system for those interpreting assignments. We know that there are so many interpreters working diligently out there and then waiting months and months to be paid for their work, and it's not right. So we've worked hard to advocate and get the support of Secretary Sutters to allow us to move forward with this plan. You also mentioned a valid point that really no matter what we do, policies will always have impacts that are sometimes unintentional or secondary impacts. So it's important to review things very carefully before decisions are made. So we will have continued discussion about these issues with Secretary Sutters and continued dialogue. Anything that we can do to improve services will be done with input and collaboration with the deaf community and the interpreting community. We don't want the deaf constituent to be stuck in the middle while other people are arguing about policies and billing practices and so forth. So we want to keep our eye on the ball and keep the big picture in mind. And the bottom line is we want to ensure that deaf and hard of hearing people are getting the services that they deserve and need.
Yes, but if I could have a quick response. Well, but people are waiting.
Okay, go ahead, Hartmut.
In terms of a payment plan, the commission is assisting with that, but they would be vendors for state agencies that are now becoming state employees. And those are two totally different employment entities. They should be vendors only and not state employees or staff interpreters. So there are two different employment categories. A vendor becoming a state employee, I think that's the risk that you may be overlooking.
Okay, let me clarify. Yes, the ISAs are very clear. These are agreements between agencies or entities. It does not make people state employees. They are still freelance interpreters. So that would remain unchanged. It's the
That's
billing.
why it's, right, but if you're doing the billing, they're going to be seen as becoming state employees.
That is not our plan. Let me clarify. So we have established very clear guidelines about how a person becomes a state employee. The state needs to give MCDHH an FTE, which is a full-time equivalent position, in order for us to be able to hire someone as an employee. And we are already at the maximum cap for FTEs. So no one can be hired as an employee without first going through HRD, the Human Resources Department, EHS, and going through that process to acquire additional FTEs or full-time equivalent positions. So that is not what is happening here. We do provide training to our staff interpreters at MCDHH for their professional development, but we do not have funding to support training and professional development for freelance interpreters, to address your other comment. It is possible that there may be some funds that might become available to support trainings for interpreters that can be offered free of charge or at a reduced rate, but it will depend on the funding that is received and the feasibility of that. In the next budget cycle, we are seeing a 20% increase over last year. And that's the first time in the history of the agency that this has happened. So we're very excited about that accomplishment. Right now, we are very energized on our executive team to see what kind of enhancements and improvements we can make happen with those additional funds. And we are very committed to doing that.
But again, if you're getting money for
Hold on,
training,
Hartmut.
I mean, no one does training
Hartmut.
college teachers and so forth to get, I mean, it's a lot of state money to.
Hartmut.
So interpreters are the same as teachers.
Hartmut, hold on. Thank you, but your time is up. You must cede the floor. Thank you, Commissioner Ope. Okay, next is Carrie. Would you like to open your screen, please? Hi, Carrie.
Can
Yes, we can see.
everyone? Okay, I'll make sure you can see me. Hello, everyone. Thank you for hosting this evening. First of all, I just want to say thank you for hosting, and also for all of the hard work that the commission has been doing. There's been so many changes over the last period of time. That's number one. It's totally amazing. The emergency after hours service, the on-call service. I'm thrilled that that's back and running because the deaf community really needs that service for the most vulnerable among us. So thank you. And I really appreciate that now there's changes to the referral system. My question relates to the new system. My experience has been, well, I used to be a referral specialist when we used paper and pen system. We didn't have the internet, we didn't have computers. And so then we went to Iris, and then we went to Avianco. So my question is, I'm an interpreter, and then so and from a requester point of view and interpreter point of view, my question is, will we as interpreters and as requesters be able to provide or see how the system works and to provide feedback or input to help improve the features so that it can function in a way that benefits all of us? Instead of it going out and then we having to then try to retrofit something and then try to understand something that's already started running. I'm just wondering if we will have an opportunity to provide input before the system launches.
Thank you, Carrie. Who would like to address that question? Please open your screen and be spotlit. Hi, Carrie.
Sorry, I'm in the car.
So great to see you.
I'm at a baseball game for my kids, so I'm trying to watch this at my kids' game too. Sorry.
Okay, so the answer to your question is a little bit complicated. a lot of the research that's gone into the system has already been happening for 2 to 3 years at this point. I think I'm going to have to answer this at a later time with more detail than I'm able to right now. I'll bring it back to the office and talk about it with referral and our contract team, and really address this question with more information at a later time. We're partway through the process at this time, and I'm still learning about what's already happened before I came on board. So let me get back to you.
If you need a point person or, something, just want to have someone check out the new, test out the new system, let me know.
That may change. If it does, I will let you know, certainly. But right now, I would be your contact person. Send me any questions.
Okay, thank you, no problem.
Enjoy the
Enjoy your
baseball
game.
game. Next up is Skip. Hi, Skip.
Hello, good afternoon. Kat and everyone, thank you for your presentation, the PowerPoint, thank you. I think my first question has already been answered. That was about the pay rates. Thank you for that. I got a clear answer on that one. My second question has to do with, there may be some discussion, but I'm wondering if there's going to be a plan for, I guess they're called vendors under MCDHH, those who signed the MCDHH contract. If they've accepted an assignment and not getting paid, is there a protocol for how those bills get paid? Should there be some kind of listening sessions with those providers or requesters that are not paying their bills, so that interpreters can also, work with, listen, talk to those contracting agencies, and they have submitted a bill a number of times, so that we can get the word out that there are certain entities that are not paying their bills. Sherry, go ahead.
We are professional people providing a service, and sometimes we do a job and then send our invoice, and it seems like they're surprised, the entity is surprised that we actually are professionals who bill for our services and expect to be paid, and that it seems like they're unaware of that. We're not just being do-gooders, taking care of our parents or friends. We are professionals who send an invoice and should be paid. So what can be done if that's what happens? Can there be some kind of listening session where interpreters have an ability to share our perspective about the challenges that we face sometimes getting paid after we've completed an assignment?
Thank you. Kat, would you like to respond?
Can I just clarify? Let me just ask Skip. Are you specifically talking about state agencies or private entities? Well, both.
I think there's a lot of agencies that contract with MCDHH. So let's say someone requests a.
Well, there's a difference
interpreter
between a
from MCDHH.
contract and a requester. So there are very few companies who are on contract with us. Some private entities actually do enter into a contract, but very few. Most of the companies or private entities simply are requesters. So there's no contract, but through the use of our referral service, the contract is between the interpreter and the entity that hires them, not MCDHH.
Okay, so MCDHH would not be able to help if it's a private entity? I guess
no,
that's
we can.
really my question.
We can certainly advocate around payment. If the request was made with us, If they didn't make the request through us, that's different. But if they did, absolutely, we will follow up and help advocate for payment. We will call and email on your behalf and escalate
Okay.
that up through the chain of command until it's addressed. David Del Pizzo is the supervisor of the referral team. And if it needs to be escalated even further, it would come to me. We also have legal counsel, our general counsel. So yes, we would certainly do that advocacy.
Okay, well, that's helpful to know because I don't think I really understood what the process was because I've got a couple of places that are not paying their bill.
If you don't get paid, Skip, contact your referral specialist who booked you for that
Okay.
assignment, please. And if they can't get the situation resolved, then it would be escalated to David and then myself. We will do whatever it takes to help you. So please, yes, do let us know. We want you to be paid for your work.
Great. And this is Stephanie. Does that answer your question, Skip?
Yes, I can't go back and fix things from the past, but it helps me going forward. David, can you open your screen? I'd like you to connect names and faces. This is our referral supervisor, David Del Pizzo.
Hello, everyone.
Yay. I want you all to
Yeah,
see.
And I just sent my email so that you can contact me directly with any of these billing issues. Obviously, things don't happen, resolutions don't happen overnight, but I will be consistent to make sure that we find a solution and get that particular worked out as quickly as possible. And we can go to the general counsel as the last resort.
So does this apply to past issues or is that too late?
How far in the past are you talking about?
Well, I wouldn't be going back 10 years or anything like that, no. But I'd say shortly before COVID. And
sure.
then since COVID.
Yeah, send them to me and we'll see where the process takes us. So just let me know.
Okay, I just don't want I don't want anyone wasting their time on something that's, not feasible, but this is helpful information. Thank you.
Go ahead and contact me. Stephanie's saying there's also many interpreters that are having similar experience. So Skip, it's not just you. The commission, once they know that there's an issue, they will go after those people. And these are our best advocates here, right here.
Also, this is Kat. I want everyone to know that we have many staff from MCDHH with us tonight. So within the Communication Access Services Division, we have many staff and also our chief of staff who oversees and supervises that division is here, Sharon Harrison. So if I can't get resolution, the next step above me is Sharon. So I'm so sorry, Sharon, please don't be mad at me for asking you to open your picture, but I'd really like people to be able to see you. Because this is the fiercest advocate you will ever meet, Sharon Harrison.
Hi, everyone.
Our chief of staff at MCDHH.
Hello. Nice to meet you, Skip. I'm Sharon. I'm like a queen, Queen Sharon.
Yes, got it.
Queen Sharon.
Queen Sharon, thank you.
This is Stephanie. Okay, I believe Beth Lucy has the next comment or question.
Hi, hold on 1 second. All right. Hi, everyone. Thank you for hosting this event tonight. I have a few questions. One is about my experience mentoring. The other are more general. So as a mentor, I have mentored a BIPOC colleague who is a recent graduate. And yes, I share some of the concerns that were talked about earlier. I think COVID really impacted the interpreter training process and the learning curve. I know people lacked opportunity to attend community events, understandably, but we need some kind of program to support people in this transition stage. when they're getting ready to finish school or they're just out of school. There's a gap due to COVID that we need to address and figure out how can we help people close that gap in their skill development. It's not their fault, but they are being penalized because they are working to become interpreters and go through their training during a pandemic. So that's something we need to find solutions to address. Also, when I ask if I can bring a mentee to jobs, I'm told no more frequently. People don't want someone observing their Zoom situations. So is there a way that we can help people understand the importance of allowing the next generation of interpreters to observe as part of their training and development? Also, I'm thinking at some point in the future, we might be able to find some solutions around the issue that happens so frequently when one interpreter is booked, but they're not able to find a team and then something gets canceled. Could there be a way to fill requests better by really assessing which requests have one interpreter booked, because multiple interpreter requests are canceled because they can't find a team?
Maybe have a per diem interpreter on standby. This is Kat. Okay. Mentoring opportunities and COVID. I really can't respond to that. We are all struggling trying to figure out how to create opportunities. I can tell you that the commission right now is running a very small pilot program for Black interpreters who want to interpret into spoken English. They are actually working right now for this meeting on the side.
Wonderful.
They're all supporting each other. They're practicing this level of work. They're not involved in this meeting, but they in fact have an opportunity to do some hands-up working and learning and practice. That's one idea of creating and stretching the boundaries of the box, thinking outside of the box, creating opportunities.
This is Sharon. I applaud that. That's fabulous. Oh, that was Letitia. Oh, sorry. That was Sharon.
It was Letitia's idea. Thank you. So thank you, Letitia, for coming up with that opportunity and idea. But my point is, we need to create opportunities so that there are opportunities. There are a number of ways, we just have to think about them. The commission can't really manage all of those variables, who can or cannot go in any kind of job site, but we do need to try to be more creative, and so that we can create learning opportunities for people and work collaboratively together and brainstorm how those opportunities might come about. In terms of the per diem option, traditionally the commission has used contract interpreters at various times through our history. Sometimes we have them, sometimes we don't have them. Some agencies have them, some agencies don't have them. Sometimes we share interpreters. I think it's a great idea. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't really work financially. I think it's doable for a host of reasons. I wish that we could convince hospitals, doctors' offices, and other state agencies or other entities that it would be a good idea to have per diem interpreters on the standby, ready to go, sitting on the shelf. I agree with you. I think it's a great idea. Continue raising that as a possibility. We'll continue to look at that. You know, one of several options that we are considering to cover assignments. I mean, people are just screaming for interpreters, and we've got to figure out some way that we can solve that as a community.
Thank you.
Thank you, Beth.
Okay, Kat, keep your screen on. This is Stephanie. There's a question in chat that I'd like to read. How many staff interpreters, deaf and hearing, do you have at MCDHH?
I'm going to call Denise to answer that question.
Okay, Denise, if you could answer that, please.
Yes, I'm awake. We have 9. Wait. 2, 1. I have, wow. 8, 9, 9. Well, I know. Sorry. Altogether, we have 8. 2 deaf interpreters, 6 hearing interpreters. One of those is a contract deaf interpreter, including myself, 10.
Okay, thank you. Next, I believe, is Joe Toledo. This is Anna. Also, don't forget to go back to Christopher Robinson. He had a question in chat. See, teamwork. Thank you, Anna. Gotta love it. Joe, the floor is yours.
Yes, hello, everyone. For full transparency, Beth's question really hit a button for me. So I'm here as BIPOC. I personally am a BIPOC individual. I've been looking at RID Town Hall over many, many years. I don't think I've ever missed one. And, you know, there's always the scuttle about deaf interpreters and blah, 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 blah. There have been comments about RID prioritizing standards, creating certifications, and passing individuals who barely had any sign skills. Plus, CIT also accredited in all of those programs that are creating interpreters who have very little sign skills. And then they went out into the workforce. But for deaf interpreters, they had to have all of these certifications, they had to meet all of these standards, they had to do all of these things. So that's what I've seen over the years from RID. And there is no opportunity for BIPOC interpreting students to interact with their own community. So I think we need to be really careful of the possible RID influence into our conversation. I mean, we obviously have state standards. We're talking about minimum standards. If we're talking about minimum standards as those standards of people can barely use any sign language at all, I think we need to be aware of that. That pushed my buttons, and I just want to be very transparent. I am always going to be who I am. I am Joe Toledo.
Thank you, Joe. Does anyone wish to respond? Or I think he wanted to be sure his point was well received. This is Kat. I appreciate that, and I hear you, and I understand. Thank you for sharing that.
Thank you. Good night. Okay, I'm going to see if I can find Chris's comment or question. Where did it go? Let's see, issue. Let me make sure I found the question. Okay, Janice, and then Anna, and then I'll see if I can find Chris's comment or question. Hold on, JCT, just a second. I just want to make sure I get Chris's comment or question. I'm not sure I found it yet. Okay, I think I found it. Okay, thank you. Technical difficulties. One moment, please. And where did it go? Okay. Could someone copy and paste that for me? I've lost it in the chat box.
So I will go ahead and sign Chris's comment. It seems like there are some parallel conversations happening. So let me do that. First, he says, thank you for hosting this town hall. It's been very informative. This is something to think about for when the time is right. There are many ethical and cultural events and programs that are in the space of artistic performance interpreting and ASL performance. MCDHH typically does not process that type of interpreter request or referral for cultural or events having to do with the arts. So performing arts interpreter requests are not accepted by MCDHH. Is that the case even if a request is made by a deaf consumer? Also for general audience requests? And what is the reason for that policy? And could it possibly be revisited and changed? If you think about this in the context of the impacts on marginalized communities.
Hashtag disproportional impact. This is Stephanie. Thank you, Shannon, for doing that. Who would like to respond to Chris's question about the performing arts? Kat.
Sure. I can't really get into the reason for that decision because that was in place before I came on board in November. I'm not sure when that particular policy was first written, but briefly, hold on, my son is yelling. Close the door. I'm sorry. Sorry, everyone. A little behind the scenes trouble here. Yes, life with kids. Where was I? Okay. So it's interesting to think about different perspectives on this because I think originally, I mean, I've been an interpreter in that space of the performing arts. Actually, I was in theater before I became an interpreter. So I have a strong personal connection and point of view about the artistic piece. So I think that part is something we lose sight of. It's very intimate and subjective. It's important to think deeply and thoughtfully about who is the right match for that type of situation because it is unique in that way. These are environments where people who may not have certification or be state screened, where they first get some opportunity to do script translation work and to really learn the art of interpreting in the arts and what translation is and what it involves. For the commission to start regulating or having influence in that sphere, I think could have some negative impacts on how fruitful that can be as a learning environment. When you think about other interpreting assignments, like surgeries or, very intense legal or medical situations, the arts can sometimes be a realm where people can hone their craft and develop their skills in such a variety of ways. At the same time, when you are thinking about who to hire for a show, you don't want to, I know, Chris, you're not going to let me go on and on. You don't want to bring in just anyone. Go ahead. Go ahead, Chris.
I would just like to reframe this.
Sure, please. Yes.
If the governor or a state agency, someone hosted some type of presentation, okay? A
With the national anthem.
Some kind of swearing-in ceremony, sometimes a poetry event. We would provide interpreters for that, and those would not be considered artistic performance events because that's more civic in nature. I'm thinking about when communities come together, BIPOC communities come together, they may use language based in their community experience and talking about our own culture, our ways of interacting, social justice and the like. And that might be considered art, like an arts festival.
It might be labeled that way. So just because something is called an arts festival, because culturally that's the language that a community uses, it's automatically screened out by the commission because it's called that. Suppose someone experiences an injury during a show, or some kind of assault takes place. And it's all about communication access. So we're talking about framing things, but I'm not talking about, just something because there's happens to be an audience. It's language matters, and there are layers of assumptions and a disproportionate injustice that is perpetuated simply because of the way a request is being framed. In that systemic racism has a part of that. If something is culturally called an arts festival, the commission won't handle the request, where if it was called something else, it would be.
Chris, thank you, as always. I will certainly make a note of that and revisit that particular policy related to this issue for sure.
Thank you, Kat. Next, Janice, and then Anna. And I have to remind everyone, please try to respect the 3-minute time limit. We only have about a half an hour left. So this is your opportunity. Janice, thank you.
Hello, I have to try to remember now my comment or question. It had to do with Beth Lucy's comment about interpreter training program and all of the students who have been going to school and trying to get their coursework during the pandemic. Most of them, for their internship, have been Zoom based. They've missed the face-to-face interactions. They've missed the protocol for how to get into a setting, how to deal with the assignment, how to approach the coordinator at the setting. They've missed all of that critical information that's not interpreting per se. So for the current mentoring relationship, we need to make certain, and I think it's on the responsibility of the commission, I believe, to make sure that any mentorship that is face-to-face because these young people have no concept of what it means to show up early. And if you show up early, then you're on time. And all of that. So I think that it is someone needs to seriously consider filling that gap. Thank you.
Thank you, Janice. Kat, did you want to follow up to that question?
I'm sorry, I got interrupted. Sorry. What was the very end? I missed just the little end, Janice.
I just didn't know if you wanted to follow up. Janice, can you come on again?
Yeah, sorry, my kids interrupted me. Sorry.
Janice, if you could repeat your last sentence, please.
The last sentence was, well, it's something to do with, I was talking about how interns,
Yes, I got all of that. It was just the very end.
Okay. The very end was just that I think for any mentorship relationship or program that the commission that is involved with needs to focus on the mentorship being face to face.
Okay. Got it.
I mean, that's really most of what I was talking about. Yeah.
Okay. Yes, we are taking notes.
Great. Thank you. Anna Rosso. Okay.
Hi,
Hi, Anna.
I saw Joe's comment. Mine is somewhat related to what he already said. I've been thinking about this issue for a long time. The fact that there just isn't enough interpreters. And not only that, but the standards for hearing interpreters and, you know, new interpreters and their skill level. You know, we seem to really overlook the importance of the very first step to becoming an interpreter is language skill and fluency. As a hearing person who grew up not knowing any deaf people until I was in high school, I mean, that's when I experienced my first exposure. I think my picture's freezing up a little bit. So I was very fortunate to be in DC because my learning happened with deaf teachers. Then I was at RIT. I worked in the dorm at a school for the deaf. It was just such rich language environments. And that's how I learned ASL. So before young people are thinking about choosing a major, where they're going to go to school, you know, they grow up with a language experience and a language story. So I'm thinking of middle school and high school. If there was a way for MCDHH to make inroads in those schools and see that ASL clubs can flourish or programs can be established, like shared teaching opportunities or deaf mentors being able to reach out at the high school level to students. Imagine what could happen. It would just be amazing to see. And I would like to volunteer myself to partner in this if there's a group of people who would like to do that outreach, to try to establish some high school level programs. I have young children in school, so I see what their lives are like, and I'm in that environment. I would be very happy to be a part of that effort. Thank you.
Great. I definitely agree. Yes. Thank you for all of that. Working with high school programs, recruiting potential interpreting students into that pipeline. So, and you know, get them early. I agree.
Exactly. Right. Thank you.
Okay. Anybody from the commission, would you like to make any response? Kat's making notes. Oh, hello, Kat. Come on
Well,
back.
this is Kat. Can I go back way back a while ago. I thought Stephanie Clark made a comment in chat, something about codas, but I don't know what the context
right.
was for that comment a while back. Can we
How many staff
ask Stephanie?
interpreters are codas? How many staff interpreters are codas?
Oh, how many staff interpreters are codas? That's the question. Okay. One, I think. Am I right, Stephanie? I'm sorry. My brain is fried. I'm sorry. Denise, is that the right answer?
Yes,
yes.
one.
I just wanted to make sure that we're addressing everything that came through in the chat.
Okay, so let's see, make sure we go through all of that. Shannon, hold on. Oh, Gail was asking a quick question. Did the governor or mayor's office fill the full-time staff interpreter position that was posted months ago? Does anyone have an answer for that? We haven't heard.
That was the mayor's office, not the governor's office. And it was advertised, but there were no applicants, unfortunately. I think they had maybe 1 or 2 applicants, but there was no follow through. So I think they're looking at possibly reposting and advertising again.
Kat, would you follow up with them on that? Oh, David. David, what do you know about that?
Yes, I happened to check in about that recently before my vacation. Apparently, they really struggled. I know we've been having a very difficult time with press conferences for the mayor's office, so I checked in with them. They're considering 2 part-time staff interpreters for the mayor's office because they posted for a full-time position and didn't get any feasible applicants. So they're considering posting 2 part-time positions. So we'll see how that pans out.
Great, thank you, David, for that update. Now, Shayna, Stephanie, and then Anna.
First, I just want to say thank you. I so appreciate your participation and all of your contributions. And I keep having to sit on my hands so that I don't respond to all of these interesting issues being raised. And I would like to respond on behalf of MassRID and let you know that I have been a part of working in 4 different interpreter training programs in different states, from at all levels up to the master's level, including different parts of the programs, internships, mentorship, the post-graduation transition to becoming state screened, all the way up to attaining certification. I've seen all of this in my professional experience. And my opinion is the college or university where the training program is can't solve every problem. They can't do it all. They have limitations. It's a challenge for them to recruit enough practicum supervisors. Once someone graduates from an interpreter training program, there's a gap in readiness from the day of graduation to being ready to get certified. And there's a need for support through that transition. That's where MassRID comes in. And people need our help. On many occasions, I've asked questions about the history of mentorship in Massachusetts. There was a mentorship program that used to exist, and I've reached out and I've asked questions about that. And now, once again, we're facing a gap in that transition from ITP to readiness to become state screened or certified. My question is, what can MassRID do to address those needs for support during that transition? How can we, through MassRID, pair people up for mentorship? And I'd like to task all of you to think about this question and generate ideas. Might it be possible for MassRID to figure out funding and create a program? So please come on June 11th. I just couldn't resist. I had to say it. I stepped out of my role to make that one
Don't
point.
leave.
Please
Wait.
show up to have this conversation.
Rachel has a question. Have you looked at CORE mentoring program based in DC? They're expanding to other states.
No, I'm not aware of that. I'm open to all kinds of suggestions around mentoring. What can we do at MassRID? We could create a program. We could create partnerships. There are so many possibilities. We need to have this conversation. But I'm one person. Do you see me sitting here? There's no army behind me, and I can't do it alone. With that, I'm going to stop talking.
Thank you so much. As your perspective from MassRID, yes, I think that we need to recognize that there's this gap and figure out how to improve that. And that gap exists for interpreters across the state. Okay, Stephanie, you've got the floor.
Hi, great event tonight. Really awesome. So I just have two questions. The first is about private referral entities. And it came up earlier that there's really nothing MCDHH can do about that. But what about legal issues that arise in Massachusetts? Sometimes medical situations turn into legal ones, and it might start with a private referral and then end up with something that connects to the commission and becomes legal. Also, if something is court ordered and then the entity goes through a private referral service, how does that happen? These aren't cut and dried issues. There's overlap. Sometimes you might have a mental health hospital setting that can involve legal issues. So I would like to propose that we really revisit this and clarify some of these areas. And I'd like to know if there will be an opportunity to reevaluate and revisit some of these policies. Also, many state agencies have licenses that are required for various businesses. Is this something that MCDHH could do? A business license where to become a referral agency, there has to be some kind of quality assurance process and licensing.
Yes, we'll ask someone from the commission to come back and respond to your two excellent questions. Thank you, Stephanie.
Commissioner Opey, I don't know if you want to weigh in on the licensing piece of this question. I'm going to hold off on the first part and ask that the commissioner respond to the second part, but he just closed his picture.
It's a great picture. It's a great photo. Kat, why don't you go ahead?
Commissioner, would you mind responding to the part about the business license? Could we provide licenses for people to do business in the referral space?
Stephanie, thank you for your question. It's a very good question. When I first moved here from Missouri, it took me a while to kind of figure out how things work around here. Because in Missouri, we had licensure and certification for interpreters. I talked with different agencies through EHHS, try to figure out what was happening. My understanding is that some agencies do in fact have the authority to mandate a license. MCDH does not have that kind of authority. I have also tried to figure out how we could get that kind of authority, and that would, the legislators would have to amend our current law. From my background, I have a lot of experience with the legislature, getting bills passed, writing bills, getting them passed and so forth. So I'm ready for that. I was told I could not move forward on that because of the policy here in Massachusetts that state agencies cannot get involved in the legislative process. So I personally can't be a part of that. But there are ways to get around it. The community can take on this issue, such as MassRID, for example, or the statewide advisory council, the STAC, could also take on this issue. My goal is to work with these specific entities, providing them resources, counsel, tools, data, collaboration. And so that's one thing that's on my list of things to do. I will add MassRID to that list in terms of the planning steps, working together with SAC and see how we can move forward. Without any change to our current legislation, we would not be able to move forward on that.
Thank you, Commissioner. And this is Kat, going back to the first question, what is and isn't legal under the law?
That's the question.
That's
the
always
question.
evolving. It is a fair question. It's always evolving. And there are outside forces that come to play and can have negative impacts on the deaf community and the people that we serve. So we are always, trust me, we are always looking at that and we are well aware of it. That's really.
Yeah, I have a number of other questions as well.
Yes, yes. I assure you, yes, we know, and we're paying attention.
Thank you. Okay, Ray Heller. Yeah, with your question. Hi, Ray.
Hello, everyone. Let me mute myself 1 second. Okay. About mentorship. This is already happening. We don't need to reinvent the wheel. Novin already exists, everyone. It's up and running. We're on our 6th cycle. It is doing well. It is working. Many interpreters have gone on to take the screening. Novin's been hosting workshops and trainings to prepare people for the screening so they know what to expect. It is well in hand. There's beautiful teamwork going on. People are working nicely together. And, you know, the vision of this is peer mentorship. That's what we're doing. And that is really what is at the heart of Novin. I can't emphasize enough that you're all worried and sweating over this, but you really don't need MassRID to take it on because it already exists. There are resources happening within Novin. There are about 8 different leadership teams and groups working so diligently doing this work. And it's been going on for several years now, creating that pipeline. However, when we've asked for CEUs from MassRID, we've asked for support in that way, we were told no. Novin would like to be able to pay people to provide mentorship and instruction and trainings. So if you think about what MassRID can do, it's to help us with CEUs and help us with some funding to support what we're already doing. We are working hard to meet the needs of new interpreters and deaf consumers and the interpreters, working interpreters. We are open to working with everyone toward these shared goals. But again, this is already something that is well underway. So I don't know if people at the commission can help. We've met with people at MassRID. We've gone out to different ITPs. We're meeting people in high schools. So many of the ideas being brought up tonight is happening through Novin. It's frustrating that people don't know this. I don't know how many novice interpreters are with us tonight. It looks like very low numbers, not many. So if you want to support these efforts, please listen when we ask for your support and help us. Thank you.
Ray, thank you. Yes, I've gotten an email. I know that you do a lot of outreach, and there have been, how many actually people do you have in the pipeline right now? How many interpreters do you have in the pipeline?
This last cycle, we had 25 people, or maybe 26. Wow. It's big, it's growing. And this is something that is going on nationwide.
Not only Boston then.
Right. No, it's in California, Texas, New Hampshire, all over. It's really spreading. And different RID chapters like Long Island RID contacted us to partner. We're partnering with the Jane Doe Agency. Yes, we have a lot of collaborations in place. Black interpreters, BIPOC interpreters, we want to pay individuals to provide support and mentorship. We can't do all of that. They reach out to us, people reach out to us for all kinds of things, but we need support too, so that we can then in turn provide the support to these individuals. Novin is here, and we are happy and interested in working collaboratively with all of you, all kinds of different groups. Please reach out.
Yes, you've been very, very helpful and supporting a lot of different entities. And so we want to thank you in keeping those students in the pipeline. Figure out how we can work together to make those connections between the veteran interpreters and novice interpreters. And so that we have people coming into the field and growing the field. So thank you for your comments, and thank you for all the work that you're doing.
Thank you so much.
Okay, we only have about 5 minutes left. I want to make sure I didn't overlook anyone. Okay, Anna, I think you were, Anna Nolan, you are the last comment.
Wow, no pressure. Last comment. Okay, I wanted to follow up on Ray's suggestion and comments. This is perfect, because that leads me, it's a great segue to talk about the MassRID board's current term, and that term will be ending this June. So 2 years ago, we realigned, for 2 years, we've been working very hard to be in compliance with national RID. We've managed to clean up our taxes and general office 501c3 status has been reactivated. So a lot of cleaning up work has taken place. And now tonight we're talking about a lot of really cool ideas for the community. I want everyone to be aware of the fact that MassRID is now well positioned to take on some of these ideas. We've been keeping the lights on at MassRID with 5 people. There's no vice president. The treasurer position, there is none of that. And that has impacts. So other groups sometimes reach out to us to collaborate, but we lack the infrastructure to be able to really move forward with some of this collaborative work. We recently sent out a nomination request for people interested in stepping up and joining the next board, but there are 0 responses. There are no nominations for the new board. So please reflect on this. It's impossible for one individual to do all of this work. The position of treasurer is an important responsibility. And sometimes people don't want to take on these roles because so much is expected. It's a big job. But if we can create a team that works well together to serve in that capacity, then it's not all on one person. So there could be a team of people who do the treasury related tasks, for example. And if we work together in this way, we can see MassRID thrive. So please consider participating and becoming involved. We're going to send this request for nomination out again, and we will be having a meeting on June 11th. Please get involved. We need your help.
Thank you, Anna. And please consider joining June 11th, 10 to 12. And I'm sorry if I missed anybody's question or comment. This is recorded and will be notes, so you can go back and ask. If I have overlooked anyone, I apologize. You can get your questions in later. I got the Andrew said, seems I didn't get any updates with MassRID. Even I'm a member. Can you please check the list and mail that out as well? Sure thing. All right. Hopefully I've done a good job as your moderator. I will now close the session with Shanna and Dr. Ope. Again, thank you for your comments, your attention, your valuable concerns that were addressed. I thank you for participating. And the floor is yours. Bye-bye.
Thank you, Stephanie. You did an outstanding job as our moderator. Beautifully done. Thank you. Shanna, would you like to introduce the MassRID board members who are here with us tonight?
Yes, thank you. Amy Flower, Anna Nolan,
Where's Amy?
oh,
Here she is.
Wait, oh, there you go, Amy. And who else here?
Shanna, can we acknowledge Julia? Because she served for a year as treasurer
Oh, sure.
during this current term. So yes, let's.
Julia, is your camera on? I don't see you. There you are.
And Joan Watman.
Right. Let's see, get Joan in here. All right. So the authentic team, the core team of MassRID is before you. Again, I want to thank each of you for your work, for your hard work, your commitment to the organization over the last 2 years as we've worked on the infrastructure to re-raise MassRID. I have full confidence that the next step that MassRID will take, we are ready for. We've done your dirty work. The dirty work is done. I'm going to say 95% of it is done. The next board, now we need you to get involved. The next piece is collaboration so that we can continue as an organization. We are not going to be the traditional privileged hierarchy anymore. We are now at a new identity. You'll see at the June 11th meeting how you can begin to incorporate the new identity of MassRID. There are a ton of opportunities that we can raise the community, interpreting community. All of us as community need to come together and work together to raise ourselves up with the organization, with each other, for the benefit of the organization, so that we have resources that we can use to benefit everyone. So this will be a golden opportunity. I will stop saying. Anybody else want to say something? This is the core team before you. Okay, so thank you. I turn the floor back to Dr. Ope. All right, the floor is yours again.
Thank you, Shanna, and thank you to all of the wonderful MassRID members. And you get a gold star, each of you, from all of us here at MCDHH. I'd like to ask the MCDHH team to please open your pictures so everyone can see our all-star team.
I'm getting there. I'm getting there. It takes just a minute to spotlight everybody.
This is
Wow,
Sahina.
did I miss anybody? Wait, so there's probably the screen's not going to be big enough because I've already got 9 people spotlit. Who else? Who else?
This is Kat. I think Saheen was trying to make a comment. Can you spotlight? the
No, I
interpreter?
was just gonna say my camera, my laptop camera doesn't work, so I'm really sorry about that.
Okay, that's all right.
Okay, so I can only spotlight up to 9 people. So unfortunately, I can't spotlight anybody else.
That's okay. That's quite all right. I really wanted to be sure to take this opportunity to let this community of interpreters know that since I've been working here in the Commonwealth of Massachusetts, I have seen the heart and passion for the deaf and hard of hearing community among the interpreters who work in this state. From all of the conversations I've had and experiences and opportunities working with you, I'm so impressed with how thoughtful and resourceful you all are. And I know that you have seen many changes happening at MCDHH over the past year. And I credit the team, all of us who have worked together. And I commend the drive and the commitment and passion that it has taken to recognize that things need to be addressed and changed. And that this is one step in this process. We will be hosting many more events like this, and we will never stop doing so. It's an ongoing process. I know there are frustrations and challenges, and we want them to be resolved quickly. Before I moved to Massachusetts, I have to be honest with you, I was an impatient person. When I wanted change to happen, I wanted it to happen right away. And I had no patience for something that took a long time. With the resources, however, that exist here, I do realize that sometimes change happens best if it happens slowly and carefully. And I'm learning. I've learned so much already, and I continue to learn. We have an outstanding team at MCDHH. And the people who work with me every day make clear to me what our purpose is in the work we do. Also, I'd like to acknowledge MassRID. None of this would work without you. You bring people, you bring a wealth of knowledge and experience and expertise to the table. And of course, this will not be the end of our collaboration. This work that we're doing together is ongoing. This is a beginning in many ways. We now have a list of issues that we've taken away from tonight. There are some that are within our purview and some that aren't, but we will continue to work toward our shared goals. During the open period of tonight's program where people shared concerns, I think I want you to know we've heard you. We are listening, and we intend to take action. By nature, I like to keep a low profile and let my work speak for itself. So you will see action steps being taken in support of our community. And that will mean we will be reaching out to you. I might be asking for some one-on-one conversations. It may be through the group of representatives from MassRID. We may be working within other areas like our subject matter expert teams. So there will be a variety of ways that we will be taking advantage of the expertise that you all bring to the table to strengthen the work that we do together on behalf of the deaf and hard of hearing community and the interpreting community in the Commonwealth. You have my commitment to this work. I also would like to recognize the support that we've been receiving since I arrived from Governor Baker and Secretary Sutters. I have met one-on-one with them on numerous occasions, and they are open to hearing about our needs. And I know it's surprising that we've accomplished this 20% budget increase. We are the only state agency who's received such a sizable increase to our budget. And I know this centralized budget won't resolve and fix every problem. I recognize that, especially when interpreters are working with private entities and dealing with payment issues. But we will be reaching out to learn more about your experiences to see how we can address these concerns. So please do email our team. David put his email address in the chat, and he will know how to handle something from there. If it needs to be escalated, it will be. I have my eyes on everything that's happening within MCDHH, and we are focused, laser focused on the needs of the community. With that, I'd like to say good night and thank you for this amazing, thoughtful, respectful, and historic conversation that's been incredibly rich and beneficial, filled with information and useful resources and input that you've provided for us. And we are going to take it and run with it and make good use of it. We are here to support you, and we will continue to do so today and in the future. Would anyone else like to add any last comments? Shana?
Thank you all. We'll see you on June the 11th, 10 a.m. to 12 noon. Thank you. Thank you and good night.
Good night.
Good night, everyone.